Today on Rappler. House leaders pledge support for President Marcos's peace initiatives with rebels a day after Sara Duterte calls it an agreement with the devil. SMNI host Jeffrey Celis is cited in contempt by a House panel. Former lawmaker Walden Bello asks the Supreme Court to decriminalize libel. The Philippines wants to be in charge of the Climate Mitigation Fund for vulnerable countries. Israel intensifies its southern Gaza offensive. P-pop group SB19 can use its name and logo again. And Beyonce's film premieres at the top of the US box office. A day after Vice President Sara Duterte called on President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to reconsider the resumption of peace talks, political party leaders at the House of Representatives expressed support for the, quote, historic move. The statement comes a week after Marcos issued a string of proclamations granting amnesty to rebels. In a joint statement, political party leaders say President Marcos's call for peace transcends political boundaries. House Speaker Martin Romualdez says this is more than just a political maneuver, but, quote, a moral imperative, a chance to mend the fissures. Vice President Duterte, echoing her father, former President Rodrigo Duterte, says resuming peace talks means making an agreement with the devil. House Minority Leader Franz Castro says this belief reflects a lack of understanding of the complexities of the peace process. A House panel cites SMNI host Jeffrey Celis in contempt for refusing to name his source who gave him false information on the supposed travel expenses of Speaker Martin Romualdez. Celis will be detained until the committee report is adopted at the plenary. Celis calls the panel a, quote, kangaroo court during the House Committee on Legislative Franchises hearing on Tuesday, December 5, offending lawmakers. He refuses to give the House panel the name of his source 4 times. He also lectures the panel on how to carry out due process for the resource persons invited. Celis and co-anchor Lorraine Badoy are summoned to the House panel after the two aired unverified information on the travel spending of Romualdez. They alleged Romualdez's office spent 1.8 billion pesos for travel expenses for 2023. Celis said the information was relayed to him by a source from the Senate. Activist and former lawmaker Walden Bello asks the Supreme Court to decriminalize libel in the Philippines. Bello, a 2022 vice presidential candidate, is on trial for 2 counts of cyber libel filed against him by Jeffrey Tupas, the former city information officer of then-mayor and now Vice President Sara Duterte. The charges stem from Bello's Facebook post chiding Duterte for snubbing the debates and mentioning that Tupas was snorting drugs on November 6, 2021. Tupas said she had already left the beach party when it was raided. With that case as his legal standing to challenge the country's libel laws, Bello asks the Supreme Court to declare as unconstitutional all of the provisions in the revised penal code on libel and the cyber libel provision in the cybercrime law. Bello says the laws have not achieved their legislative intents, but instead have been weaponized to suppress fundamental constitutional rights. The Philippine government wants to be the host for the global fund that will help poor countries deal with the adverse impacts of climate change. During the 28th United Nations Climate Change Conference or COP28 in Dubai, UAE, the Philippines says it is qualified to host the Loss and Damage Fund given that it is one of the countries most vulnerable to climate devastation. Environment Secretary Maria Antonia Yulo Loizaga adds the Philippines is eyeing a seat in the Loss and Damage Fund board. So far, a total of $720 million in pledges were made for the Loss and Damage Fund. The amount comes from the European Union and countries such as the United Arab Emirates, Germany, Britain, United States, Japan, and Italy. Meantime, COP28 President Sultan Al Jaber denies he doesn't respect climate science. The Guardian story quotes Jaber saying, "There is no science out there or no scenario out there that says that the phase out of fossil fuel is what's going to achieve 1.5 degrees Celsius." Israeli forces press ahead with air and ground bombardment of southern Gaza Strip, killing and wounding dozens of Palestinians. World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus says Monday, December 4, his office received notification from the Israel Defense Forces that supplies should be removed from the medical warehouse in southern Gaza within 24 hours. Hamas ally Islamic Jihad says its fighters engaged in fierce clashes with Israeli soldiers north and east of Khan Yunis, Gaza's main southern city. Residents say Israeli tanks drove into Gaza across the border and cut off the main north-south route. The Israeli military says the central road out of Khan Yunis to the north constitutes a battlefield and was now shut. As many as 80% of Gaza's 2.3 million people already fled their homes in the 8 weeks of war. P-pop group SB19 secures ownership of its name and logo through a legal agreement with its former management, Show BT. 1Z Entertainment, a company put up by the group's members, announces Tuesday, December 5, it reaches an amicable settlement through a fair and equitable resolution. The group briefly shelved the SB19 name and logo on their social media profiles and live performances the past month. Fans speculate this legal battle is what led to the cancellation of numerous stops in their Pagtatag World Tour. SB19 members operate as self-managed artists since the founding of their own company, 1Z Entertainment, with Pablo, its leader, as the chief executive officer. Renaissance, a film by Beyonce, premieres at the top of the US box office, raking in $21.8 million during the typically anemic 1st December weekend. Research firm Comscore says Beyonce Knowles' concert film marked the first time a movie crossed the $20 million mark on this weekend. Like Taylor Swift's Eras concert film, Renaissance gave Beyonce fans, known as the Beehive, an opportunity to enjoy the singer's concert tour, even if they couldn't score tickets to the sold-out shows. Social media clips showed filmgoers across the world donning silver, metallic outfits while dancing and singing along in packed theaters. In addition to the concert scenes, the film gave a rare glimpse at how Beyonce grapples with stardom and motherhood. She also spoke candidly about being a black woman in the music industry. Renaissance's box office fell short of Swift's $96 million opening weekend. And that's today's wrap. I'm JC Gotinga. Thank you for watching. Click the link below for the full story. Follow us on Rappler's YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok.